So, welcome to the second experiment of data structures. In the first video, we have learned about some basic background of string. That is, what is the definition of string, how it is stored inside a memory, how are the addresses assigned to the individual elements, then what do we mean by index, how to call or how to access an individual element of a string, then how to declare a string, how to read a string at compile time as well as runtime. So this much part we have covered in our first lecture or first video. Now the second operation or the second important thing about string is how to display a string on output screen. In first part we have seen how to read a string from user. The second part is how to display a string on output screen. So again there are four ways to display a string on a screen. So first way is using printf with %c, second using putchar, third using printf with %s, and fourth one using puts. So these are the four ways. Now first method, that is printf with %c. Now we already know that using one printf with 1% can display only a single character on a screen. One printf with 1% can display only single character on output screen. So if my string contains 5 characters, then I have to execute this 5 times. I have to execute this 5 times. So there are number of ways to do this. The best way is use a loop. So I have to write like this: for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus, and then our printf statement. Printf, what I have to print? Characters. So format specifier will be obviously %c, comma, s is the name of string and I is the index. So this is a code to print a string having 5 characters: A, B, C, O, E. Suppose these are the 5 characters. Okay, and the name of string is S. So to display such a string, I have to write a code like this: for I equal to 0, I less than 5, I plus plus. So this loop will run how many times? 5 times. Okay, for I equal to 0, I equal to 1, I equal to 2, 3 and 4. And what it is doing? It is printing. What it is printing? S of I means S of 0 means A. See here, S of 0 means A, then S of 1 means V, then S of 2 means C, then O, and then E. A, B, C, V. So S of 0, S of 1, S of 2, S of 3 and S of 4 will be printed. Right? But what is the limitation of this method is you have to use a loop and you should know the size. Okay, suppose if size is not known to you, there is another way to do this. You can write like this also: strlen in bracket s. Now strlen is a standard library function which is used to find out length of a string. So strlen will calculate length of a string having a name s, that is 5. Okay, so it can be done like this also. Now strlen will be covered in the subsequent videos, that is the standard library functions which can be implemented on string. We will see it later on, but right now just remember this thing, that strlen function can be used to find out the length of a given string. Okay, so using first method you can print a string like this, but limitation is what? It can print only single character at a time. That's why we have to use a loop. Okay, The second method is also same as first method. The only difference is instead of printf we have to use puttchar. So it can be done like this. For I equal to 0, I less than strlen of s, I plus plus, and instead of percent %c we can use puttchar and in normal bracket s of I. Puttchar means put a character on screen. Put a character means display a character. Which character? S of I. And what is I? Initially it is 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then up to 4 only for this example, this particular example. Okay. So first put character S of 0, then put character S of 1, then put character S of 2, then 3, and then 4. Okay. So it is one and the same. These two methods are nearly same. The only difference is here we use printf and here in second method we use puttchar. And limitation of both these methods is we have to use a loop. This is limitation. And why this limitation is there? Because one printf with 1% C can display only single character. And similarly, one puttchar can also display only single character. But our string contains multiple characters. That's why we have to use a loop here. Okay. The third method has no limitation like first two. Okay. So using printf with percent %s we can do the thing easily. So syntax is very simple. Printf, then inside a bracket in double quotes right here percent %s and comma name of string which we have to display. So syntax is very simple. Printf percent %s name of string. Okay. Printf percent %s name of string. Example. Suppose I have to print a string having a name as s, then I will simply write here printf percent %s comma s. Very simple format. Printf percent %s and then name of string is s. So the limitation which is there in first two methods is not for a third method, right? That's why there is no need to find out length of a string. In first two methods we have to find out length of a string either by using this function, that is strlen, or if you know the length already then we can put a number here like 5. Okay. So either use strlen or put a number. Number means length of the string. Okay, instead of strlen. And why it is required? Because printf and puttchar, that is printf with percent %c and puttchar both can display only one character at a time. Okay. So this third method is better than first two methods, that is printf with percent %s. Okay. And last method is also very simple. The syntax is like this. Syntax is like this. Put s and inside a put s simply write name of string. Simply write name of the string. Example, put s in bracket s. Very simple format. Just write put s and inside a bracket write down the name of string. So it will display a whole string. Now the limitation of white space which was there in case of this method, that is scanf with percentage. This was the method to accept a string, that is to initialize a string at runtime. This was one of the methods, scanf with percentage. So there was a limitation. What was the limitation? It cannot read a white space. Read means accept, read from keyboard. But while displaying a string on a screen using percentage, there is no such limitation. It can display a whole string. A complete string can be displayed even though it contains white space. That string can also be displayed using printf with percentage. Okay, so that limitation is not there while printing. When that limitation is there while reading a string, while taking a input from the keyboard using scanf with percentage, that limitation was there, that white space. Okay, in printf with percentage there is no such limitation. A complete string with white space also can be displayed using printf with percentage, and same can be done using puts also. Okay, so we will briefly revise runtime initialization and display. Previously we started from how to read a string in first video. Then read a string can be done in two ways, either compile time or runtime. Compile time means in a program itself we give a value to string, we store a value to a string, that is called as compile time. So this can be done in many ways. See this, char s of 6 equal to abcd, or char s of 6 equal to a separate b separate, like this, terminated by null. Here null is to be written explicitly by a programmer. In first case it is done by the compiler. Third, without writing a size, you can initialize the string. Char s of empty bracket equal to abcd, this is allowed. Or char s of 10 equal to abcd, size is more, number of characters are less, this is allowed. But reverse is not allowed. Size is less and number of characters are more. Size is 3 only and number of characters are 5, then it is not allowed. Then char s of 6, that is declaration is done separately and initialization is done separately, so this is also not allowed. Both these things should be done in a single statement, like this. Like this it should be done, declaration and then initialization in a single statement, this is allowed. But separate declaration and initialization is not allowed. Then we cannot assign one string to another string directly using equal to, that is assignment operator, it is not allowed. So this was about compile time initialization. Then runtime, how we can store a value in a string, there are four ways. First is using scanf with %c. The limitation is it can accept or it can read only one character at a time. That's why either we have to use multiple times %c or we have to use loop, because loop is used to execute something multiple times. That's why either we have to use a loop or we have to use %c multiple times in scanf. Okay, so that is the limitation of scanf with %c. Second method, using getChar. This method also has a same limitation, that is one character at a time. That's why we have to use loop here. Okay, so these two methods are not generally used for runtime initialization, not generally used. Okay, the third method, that is scanf with %. Now this has an advantage over first two methods. What is the advantage? A complete string having any number of characters, can be read together. There is no limitation of single character. Okay, any number of characters can be read, but the limitation is there. And what is that limitation? It cannot read a white space. If there is a space in between two letters or two characters in a given string, then that string cannot be read. For example, Amrutvahini space college, this string cannot be read using scanf with %. Why? Because there is a space. So whenever there is a space in a string, that string is terminated from that point, and whatever you have typed afterwards, it is not get stored in a memory. So only Amrutvahini will be get stored in a memory and college will be skipped. Okay, so that is the limitation of scanf with %. And the last method, using getS, is the best method. So syntax is getS, name of string, example getS in bracket s. So it does not have any limitation. It can accept any number of characters and it can accept a white character also. Okay, so that is about initialization of string. Then second, how to display a string on output screen. If I have to display a string, so there are four methods. First method, printf with %c. Now printf with %c can display only one character at a time. Therefore, we have to use a loop. Second method, putchar, it also has a limitation of number of characters. It can display only one character. So again, we have to use a loop. The third and fourth method doesn't have any such limitation. So one printf with 1% can display a whole string. A complete string can be displayed using this. And the last method, that is puts, it can also display a complete string on a screen, okay, having any number of characters. So these are the four ways to display a string on a screen. Now we will write one simple program to see all these things together. Okay, so we will give one demo using a program of all these concepts, but we will do this in a next video. So thank you.